I'm Maureen Minor. I oversee the technical department at Mwangaza. NDI is a new technology that allows us to get feed from here. So when something is the same network, I can get a feed from one place to another, from one software to another. I think it's very convenient because it will allow me not to be sitting here every time. I can work from anywhere if I have NDI, and I'm looking forward to it. NDI is a new technology. The setup that was done was to do through cabling the old way. So, but then if NDI works, I don't think why not. We should not use it. Yeah.
My name is Peter. I'm an IT technical guy. Sometimes the new technology but inakuwa ni challenge, but sasa we are in for new things. Like NDI, it's a new technology that I don't know about. NDI, it's a transmission with a camera on IP. I need to learn about NDI, by the way. Yeah, more. I want to know more about NDI.
Kwa majina naitwa Mito. Hapa ndio ofisi, nafanya kazi. Products natumia za Newtek. Natumia NDI. It has made my work much more easier because I can connect multiple sources via NDI, which is quite better.
Hello, I'm Ibrahim Muhammad, station technician from Horizon Television Kenya. I deal with camera operations and issuing of equipment. Upande wa NDI network device interface, sababu pia tunapunguza msongamano upande wa gallery control room. Tumekuja kuweza kupull graphics, real time graphics ama titles ama whichever through NDI. NDI inasaidia sana kupunguza movement ya watu na crowding kwa control room.
The manager engineering and services of World Dove Media, Dove TV Nigeria. It's a Christian broadcast organization. They carry out a full-fledged production here at Dove TV. And we run both on satellites and on internet basis, IPTV or OTT platform. And we run on social media as well.
We chose TriCaster after checking various equipment, and we discovered TriCaster is the best that can give us a complete solution to the kind of operation we do. We run a studio-based program that sometimes link to a remote studio, which is far away from us. So with the help of TriCaster, we have been able to link two different remote locations together and two of them running concurrently.
My view or my take about TriCaster usage, it's enormous. It allows for freestyle. And I believe that in the near future, it's going to help or make ease for a whole lot of production work. With my knowledge about TriCaster usage, it allows for free flow of production. There are times it doesn't need for editing. You record, you put your graphics, and you are good to go.
TriCaster as a machine is a machine that gives you awesome workflow. It has a wonderful user interface. And then with TriCaster, if you are highly creative, you can tell stories with TriCaster. Well, currently we are using TC1 for studio production, and it has been wonderful. We do recording as well simultaneously. We stream on it simultaneously. We achieve a lot of what usually be multiple work layer, multiple work form. But with TriCaster, you can handle all in one production at the same time.
We hope to use TriCaster more on our remote location by creating various OB van that via NDI, they will be able to send signal from an outside location down to the studio. For example, presently, some of our channels that I mentioned and those I did not mention, we tend to use NDI to contribute signals onto this channel instead of investing more in buying cards. With the help introduction of NDI solution, we have been able to send signals to all these platforms via NDI. We hope to use NDI 5 that was just introduced for our outside broadcast contribution.
In the past, we used to experience some multi-challenges, like starting build-up. Sometimes we lose video ports as well. But as time goes on, these were later rectified, and then the machine has been serving as well.
When we talk about challenges with TriCaster, I look forward for TriCaster to have an improved NDI format that is not very heavy, but a light codec that will go through a network seamlessly without buffering. Why did I say so? There are some set of locations that don't have good network operation. With the help of a lower codec that can operate in a lower bit rate, preferably a multi-bit rate, it will help us to be able to use TriCaster effectively where network operation is very, very poor.
From our outside studios on camp where we are situated, we have a TriCaster there for our live production. And then we are contemplating having other TriCaster products, such as mini TriCaster for our OB production. TriCaster is a machine that will take the entire video production around the world by storm. With the rates with which they are going. And I see it as dominating the market in future. Thank you.
My name is Hassan Idris. I work for Horizon TV Kenya, and today I'll be taking you through different types of TriCasters that we have. Let's take a look.
Because we can't use Jerry, because we're not even answering.
We have 4 different types of TriCasters, and 2 of them are mini TriCasters, which are SDI mini TriCasters. And next to me, it's a TriCaster 8000, and we also have TriCaster 410, which we always use for the productions in-house. And next to me, it's a TriCaster 8000, which is the most advanced TriCaster that we have. But in the near future, we're thinking about maybe on how we might be having maybe a newer version than what we have. We use TriCaster 8000 on most of our live production in our studio and some of the recorded production in our studio. We also use TriCaster 410 on the same work. And our two mini SDI TriCaster, we always use them when maybe we have an outside shoot. That's when maybe the mini TriCasters come in to facilitate some of the works that we do outside the studio. The TriCaster isn't a lot of work actually in our production, because most of the editors doesn't have maybe to cut other programs. If you have a TriCaster and you have maybe an outside production, you don't need maybe to be previewing your cameras after maybe recording the video to the studio to the editorial suite now, maybe to start editing those pieces. It doesn't do that. For the TriCaster, you just record once, and actually it isn't a lot of work. And apart from that, maybe the TriCaster, it has a lot of features. If you master them, it might be easier for you and even for the production team to be doing their work very so smoothly. To use NDI, and for us, from our TriCaster, we have an editorial suite. The editors doesn't have maybe that time, maybe, or they don't send us directly the videos or anything we want to play from their machines. So if we want to play anything from our editorial suite, or if they have edited a program, our Mac are just connected directly to the TriCaster. So we just get the footages directly to the TriCaster. And maybe if someone wants to add an input, maybe be it a camera, and he or she just have a phone. Phone can also act as a camera. That's the only good thing maybe the TriCaster have, maybe other machines doesn't have. So for the NDI, actually we use it a lot than any other thing. The TriCaster always make someone's work easier, better, and it has a lot of features. If anyone can master, it can be of help than any other machine that I've ever used before.
My name is Abbas Rutimiolani, the Manager Engineering and Services of World Dove Media, Dove TV Nigeria. It's a Christian broadcast organization. We carry out a full-fledged production here at Dove TV. And we run both on satellites and on internet basis. IPTV or OTT platform, and we run on social media as well.
We chose TriCaster after checking various equipment, and we discovered TriCaster is the best that can give us a complete solution to the kind of operation we do. We run a studio-based program that sometimes link to a remote studio which is far away from us. So with the help of TriCaster, we have been able to link 2 different remote locations together and 2 of them running concurrently.
Kwa majina naitwa Kefa Mito. Hapa ndio ofisi nafanya kazi. Products natumia za Newtek. Natumia NDI. It has made my work much more easier because I can connect multiple sources via NDI, which is quite better.
Hello, welcome to our first ever Newtek customer webinar from wherever you're joining us from: Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Nigeria, Ghana, Lagos. Guys from UK, we are so glad to have you here today, and we'll be joined by Liam Hayter later on from Newtek, who will be guiding us through the TriCaster 2 Elite and the NDI 5 tools. Guys, this is something that you don't want to miss, and as well I'm joined by Mr. Biola all the way from Nigeria, who's going to join us as well in a few. While the videos were being played just before I got into your screens right now, there were some promos playing. I hope you've seen that. We have massive discounts on Newtek products and other NDI products like Bad Dog and Ada. So we have up to 30% for some products. We have $5,000 for the TriCaster TC1. We have some discount as well on the Newtek PTZ Ultra HD cameras. This is an offer you don't want to miss because it only comes once. So if you wanted to acquire any Newtek product or NDI product that you've just seen that has discounts, this is the time to acquire it because it's not coming again very soon. So I don't want to take much of your time while you're waiting. Let me just welcome Biola all the way from Nigeria to join me here. Biola, can you hear me? I think you're on mute, Biola. Yeah, while we wait for Biola to get ready, guys, that is Biola joining us from Nigeria. So we have another office in Nigeria, and as well we have our head office in UK. So if you're looking for any Newtek solutions, guys, you're in Africa, you're fully covered. You're in UK, you're as well covered. And we don't only sell these products, we also offer training on these products. As you've seen on those videos, we do installations. For the same products, we offer training and we also offer support. So guys, this is just the right platform to be if you are new to Newtek products, if you've used Newtek products before. This is your time to advance your knowledge and as well make good use of that TriCaster system that you've been having laying around there, and be updated with what is current with NDI right now. I don't know if we have Biola back.
Yes, I'm back.
Yes, welcome Biola.
Welcome everybody from all over the world. It's a pleasure to have you here. It's our first ever Newtek customer webinar, and I'm so excited about the new things that are coming up. I won't waste your time. I just tell you to sit back, belt up, and let's go to this ride. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Biola. Yes, guys, there's so much, there's plenty of good things in stock for you. So I'm also not going to take much of your time. I'm going to invite Liam Hayter. Liam, are you with us? Are you joining us right now? I think it's time we come again.
Yes. Hi, Fazia. Good to hear from you. How are you?
Wow. That is so nice, Liam. I love your set, and I can see that you're really using that TriCaster and making the most out of it. Welcome, Liam.
Thank you very much. Yeah, hello and welcome from London.
Thank you, Liam. So we don't want to take much time because we know you have plenty in stock for us, and we want to make sure that we give you enough time to give us all those goodies that you came with. So I'll just hand it directly to you.
Thank you, Fazia. So I'm going to run through a number of things with you all this morning, starting off with a little bit of an overview of the type of projects we've been working on over the last 18 months. It's been very challenging for everyone to move to remote or hybrid production, and you know, the amount of creativity from the broadcast industry and customers like yourselves has been absolutely incredible about the types of projects and how people are delivering just to keep creating fantastic content. And I think just to start, really, this is about why actually now more than ever, we need video more than ever, video and audio. And it's not just broadcasters, it's schools and educators, it's game streamers, people delivering training, corporations for town hall meetings. There's not a single vertical or area right now that people don't need better video. Right now, more and more content is being produced daily, and you know, arguably some of it's been fantastic, but you know, what we really need to do now, and the biggest challenge right now, is actually about making that content even better. It's now about delivering higher quality remote production, and tools such as the TriCaster and NDI 5, where now we have a new feature tool set, including Bridge, that you'll see shortly, are really going to help you achieve that and do more with less. One of the other big things that we started noticing is not just the sheer need for video increasing over the last 18 months, but the actual traditional marketplaces of broadcast, communications, and audiovisual technology are increasingly starting to blur. This started happening a couple of years ago, but is in fact now accelerated because different devices and cameras, recorders, vision mixing systems, even displays, have all started to become computer-based. Now, even within computers, even in hardware, you'll have chips which are now running software or field programmable gate arrays. That means they're becoming software defined. And once things become more computer and software based, then linking them through the network is the next logical conclusion. And as you saw in that fantastic video at the start there, NDI is probably one of the leading protocols that's going to help you bring all of these different elements together and enable you to choose the very best from each of these verticals to create new ways of doing remote and hybrid production as well. The Newtek ecosystem is incredibly extensive, and we see our products being utilized across the board in all of these different areas, across all those different customer types to help people keep creating and keep communicating. So let's take a look at how our customers are actually using our products, how they're using video and audio in a network world to deliver more. First up is what I call broadcast AV. If we look at corporate communications and corporate markets, a lot of them have been using TriCaster over the years to create small media production studios. But now with some of the new advances in our TriCaster line and within NDI, we have customers that are not just building the media studio, but they're building their auditoriums around NDI and TriCaster. They're building their meeting rooms around NDI cameras as well, because we can use NDI with almost any video conferencing platform, either via hardware or natively through software such as Microsoft Teams. And we also have people building multi-purpose rooms that can be changed from a studio into a meeting room, into an event space, very quickly and very easily because they live on the network. Once you actually have all of these devices on a network, and they have these different setups talking NDI, it's possible then for you to actually share between them. Your media studio can become part of an auditorium presentation. A multi-purpose room can become an extension of your TV studio, and much, much more, which offers untold flexibility in the corporate space. But not only that, with TriCaster, like our recent TriCaster 2 Elite system, we can take racks of traditional equipment that would have complex setup, but also take up a lot of footprint and need more power to run, and shrink that right down into a single unit device, which will provide you video mixing, recording, your video conferencing clients, live web streaming, AV routing even, your audio processing and media playback and content playback. And another feature that's unique to NDI and through our product line as well is something called NDI KVM, which means that you, through any computer, and you'll see shortly how I'm doing that here at home as well, I can actually use our free Studio Monitor application to access any TriCaster or NDI KVM supporting system on my network. This means that that piece of equipment that is in a rack that's fixed in a set location can be accessed from any room, whether that's a classroom, your auditorium, your studio, or even an office. Anywhere you have a laptop on the NDI network, you can fully access and control your TriCaster system, just as you can also control cameras and much, much more. If we look at the legal space, we have customers like the UK Supreme Court, the Supreme Court of the UK and Ireland, who have actually started to look at how they can start connecting up their courtrooms to actually live stream out to spaces. We have customers in Europe doing the same thing with multiple TriCasters. Here in an example setup, we might have 3 courtrooms, which are all using NDI PTZ cameras and TriCaster systems to actually mix and bring them together. But again, because they're living on one single network fabric, that means that the cameras from one room can work with any TriCaster. They can use multiple TriCasters together for larger events and much, much more. Using live TriCaster's live streaming output, that means also you can engage with the public. You can stream out to Facebook, YouTube, and much, much more. In the case of the UK Supreme Court, they were basically streamed out to Microsoft Azure, which is a cloud platform and allows them to actually scale up or down the amount of live streaming that they provide. And during certain court cases a couple of years ago, they actually managed to reach 7.5 million members of the viewing public across the world, as well as all major news, major broadcast and news outlets at the same time with their Newtek and NDI setup. Moving on, we have customers looking at medical situations now as well, how people can respond to COVID and minimize the need for travel. Our TriCaster 2 Elite system allows you to run video conferencing applications like Zoom, Discord, Tencent, and Slack directly on the TriCaster itself. I'm joining today's webinar by connecting my TriCaster directly into Zoom by running it on the TriCaster 2 Elite. This enables full video and audio to travel back and forth. So for a hospital project, and one that we're currently working on, is that we have a hospital NDI network with PTZ cameras in each bed. We have a TriCaster 6 kilometers away in a data center, and we actually can operate that using our live panel web control available for every TriCaster or through NDI KVM, so the hospital network can connect to the data center. At the other end, doctors, educators, universities, and researchers can connect to that data center through Live Call Connect via Microsoft Teams, have full bidirectional audio and video in and out of the hospital. And this is actually up and running today. So you don't even need to actually, at this point, you can do this just using standard version of NDI 4. This isn't before we've even considered looking at NDI 5. And we will come back to these examples at the end to show you just how they can change once we apply NDI 5. The fourth project is one that we've done with Guildhall School of Music and Drama. We've won 2 AV awards for this project and a Mondo DR award this year already. And within this project here, we had a big challenge. There is a competition for music that has taken place every year since 1908. And because of the last 18 months and the pandemic, that meant that that competition nearly didn't get to take place. So working with our channel partner here in the UK and London Guildhall School of Music and Drama, we built a single network which supported both Dante and NDI. Dante for the audio, because that's what the musicians are used to using, and NDI for actually moving video around on the network as well. So the conductor is in their own room with an NDI enabled camera and an NDI studio monitor view of the NDI network. And then each room, each section of the orchestra has then been split across that network so that video and audio can be sent and received across between the different rooms. And then everything is brought into a Dante sound desk and a TriCaster to bring it all together for live web streaming. So very, very quickly, I'm just going to show you a very quick short video clip of what that actually looks like. So here you can see the conductor on the NDI cameras in his room. And here are the 4 different rooms. And within that video, you can see on the top left, the conductor is on the video screens up the top there. Same on the right-hand side. And now using the TriCaster to mix this and bring the Dante audio and the NDI video network together, it means that this orchestra can continue to play. They can still live stream out to the parents and audience at home so people can still watch people perform and still ensure that that competition can take place for a complete worldwide audience. Now, this is the rehearsal. If you wanted to see the full performance online, you can watch that on YouTube on the Guildhall School of Music channel. And they're now not only using this system for one-off events like this, but also the same NDI network now reaches 90 rooms across 2 buildings, enabling NDI video and audio to be sent anywhere for individual recordings and more, and even actually do up to 4 simultaneous performances on their one TriCaster system. It's really exciting technology and just shows exactly what can be built when we bring all these different elements together. So to summarize, all of these projects illustrate that since the NDI was introduced in 2015, our customers are now expecting to use more sources over larger scales, over greater distances, and delivering to more destinations than ever before. When we look at NDI 5 shortly, I'll be able to show you exactly how we're addressing those challenges to enable people to continue to do remote, local, and hybrid production simultaneously without you leaving NDI. But first, at the core of all of these projects, of course, is our TriCaster integrated production systems. The Newtek ecosystem, as I mentioned earlier, is incredibly extensive, but it's the TriCaster that really enables you to get fully creative and do much, much more with NDI in your environment. The TriCaster represents over 31 years of software-defined innovation at Newtek. We started with the video toaster on the Commodore Amiga in 1990. We launched the TriCaster in 2006, which is when we moved to the PC platform, and we've not stopped since. We evolved that into the TriCaster 8000 in 2011, and now our latest and most advanced TriCaster 2 Elite that we launched last year. We currently have a very large range of products in the family for TriCaster, ranging from the TriCaster Mini at the entry level, the flagship version being the TriCaster Mini 4K, through to the 410 Plus, the TriCaster TC1, and the TriCaster 2 Elite flagship system. So just to give you some comparison, let's look at the lower end of our range to the higher end of our range. And let's start off with the TriCaster Mini 4K. The Mini 4K offers 8 NDI inputs from across the network and allows you to bring in NDI sources up to 4K, as well as web stream sources such as SRT and web streams such as RTSP and RTMP. This means you can bring streaming cameras like JVC or Panasonic cameras that don't support NDI into the TriCaster, but also means you can bring web streams from other events into the system too. SRT enables you to do remote production for devices that you have using secure, reliable transport. And like all of our TriCasters, the system also supports 2 channels of Skype TX, which allows me to do up to 2 callers via Skype or Microsoft Teams as one-to-one remote callers into the system. We've done live events where we actually call from one TriCaster to another to connect them together. So alongside those 8 source inputs, we have 2 media players for playing back video, like I did just now with the Guildhall clip, animated buffers and still buffers for bringing on-screen graphics, like the lower name thirds that Viola and myself were using, as well as video switching, mixing, and compositing for creating virtual sets, like the one that I'm currently sat in here right now, and also your audio mixing and processing, all in the one box. We then give you up to 4 rendered outputs in HD, so you can have up to 4 different styles of production with different graphics, or 1 main output in 4K, along with 4 recording channels and 2 streaming encoders. So even on our smaller system, we're giving you a very powerful toolbox for your production needs. If you wanted to link that into video conferencing as well, that is of course completely possible. With our free NDI tools, we can use our webcam input and screen capture to use any Mac or PC to contribute in and out of an NDI network, even with a TriCaster Mini and PTZ cameras, so you can reach audiences on video conferencing like we are here today. Microsoft Teams has now had a software update, which enables you also to not just actually send NDI into Teams, but also extract the individual callers from a Teams call and use those as individual sources on those input slots on the TriCaster. But we go even further than this if we look at the TriCaster 2 Elite system. The TriCaster 2 Elite also supports up to 4K, but has 32 NDI inputs on the system and much more. It's a rack-mounted device, which you can see here on my desk right now. So here now you'll be able to see that I'm currently working in my home studio here in London today. I have a TriCaster Mini sat here on my desk that I use for my smaller productions, but down here on the right-hand side, I also have my TriCaster 2 Elite. So this is the TriCaster 2 Elite here in my rack, and all of the services that I'm using for today's production are running in that device. And just to show you the other aspects I'm using, I have an NDI PTZ camera that I'm using here on my green screen. I have a control surface and a stream deck to help me operate and trigger today's event, and much more besides. So if we just go back to the main program here now you've had an idea of what the hardware looks like for the TriCaster 2 Elite, let's show you what's around the back of that device. So on here, we have support for up to 4 displays. These are all available via NDI, and 8 SDI inputs and 8 SDI outputs. So you can connect existing hardware that you may already have that doesn't yet support NDI. Anything connected to the SDI inputs is turned into NDI automatically. Audio inputs are also converted into our NDI audio, and you can then connect existing analog audio, microphones or sound desks that you have in and out of the device. We have 2 network ports, a gig E and a 10 gig network port that I'll explain more about in a moment. and redundant power, so you can actually replace a power supply should it fail, and you'll keep your show running while on air. But aside from being able to bring in up to 8 SDI as any of those 32 inputs, just like the TriCaster Mini, we also support SRT, RTMP, RTSP, and RTP inputs natively on the TriCaster 2 Elite. But also here you'll see we support Skype TX and Teams through Skype TX, but other video conferencing applications as well. That's because the TriCaster 2 Elite has a unique feature called Live Call Connect that enables us to do even more with video conferencing applications via Zoom, Discord, Tencent, and Slack. What does this mean in practice? Well, we designed Live Call Connect to actually break the grid of faces. We hear about people getting tired from seeing the same grid of faces day in, day out for video conferencing. So it's about how can we make video conferences and calls more engaging. We can return content, just like we are today, into Zoom to make things more visually exciting than just a PowerPoint. As I said, we have Skype and Teams via Live Call Connect as peer-to-peer connections. This means that we can support up to a mix minus automatically on the system, so there's no audio echo, but you can also talk back to those guests off air to tell them when you're bringing them on and off air. There is a video that we did recently, which is the World Literacy Foundation Awards, that I'll get Michael to send around to everybody, that illustrates just how powerful Skype TX can be for a remote awards ceremony. But through Live Call Connect, we can also run Teams, Zoom, Discord, Tencent, and Slack into the system. And what we do is we use artificial intelligence and image analysis to take up to 9 callers from that video call directly into the production and use those as additional inputs on the system. So already on the Elite, we could have 8 SDI inputs, we could have 2 Skype TX channels, but we can then also separate out up to 9 callers using Live Call Connect and bring those in as individual inputs into our live video production. Once they're in the system, just like every other source that we want to use, we can actually start doing things like keying. We can do color correction. We can chroma key those video inputs and crop. This is available on every one of the 32 inputs on the 2 Elite and all 8 inputs on the TriCaster Mini series. Once you combine Live Call Connect with our color and keying controls, this means that you can extract people and put them into virtual sets, but also combine them with people who are local. One of the other webinars that I've done with my colleague Zoltan, which is the Teaching with Vision webinar, I operated it from home, just like I am today. You'll recognize that virtual set there is exactly the same one that I'm using right now. But Zoltan is actually in Budapest on Microsoft Teams. So I managed to dial him in using Teams through Live Call Connect on my TriCaster, and we can then actually occupy the same space for a webinar, despite the fact he's in Hungary and I'm in England. We're many, many miles apart, but video and audio can still bring us together using Live Call Connect and video conference. Just like the Mini 4K inputs aside on the TriCaster 2 Elite, we also have 4 media players, animated buffers and still buffers for graphics again, video switching and compositing, audio mixing and processing, but it also supports up to 8 mix effect buses, so we can do picture-in-picture and compositions. We can do different layouts and combine mix effects and virtual sets, just like you're seeing me do here today. So I can start looping these different sources and elements into the system for an individual production. The Elite also supports up to 8 mix outputs in HD, 2 mix outputs in 4K, unlimited ISO and mix recording, so you can record every input if you have sufficient storage, the 2 streaming encoders, but also the ability to route NDI in and out of Dante, also route NDI across your network to drive screens that you may have on set, and much, much more. The TriCaster 2 Elite really is the most complete production system in the world that we've ever built, and is enabling us to drive events like today, where I'm bringing myself into this virtual set, but also because of things like the remote production tools, because we can link video conferencing systems together to link TriCasters together. You know, we have Biola using a TriCaster TC1, Fauzia's using a TriCaster Mini into my TriCaster 2 Elite here in London. We can already gel these together using video conferencing tools like we are today as well, and more besides. But next up, let's take a look at NDI 5 and what NDI 5 also brings to this as well. Now, NDI was released in 2015 as a freely available protocol. So anybody can take our software tools and bring those into a live production, and we can then connect those and enable video productions anywhere in the world that we want to bring together. Now, NDI is now found to be available in products from people like Panasonic, Sony, BirdDog. There's a really rich ecosystem of third-party products out there in the world that we can now bring into NDI. NDI 5 is the latest version of NDI, and we released that in June this year. And some key headline features that have come in with NDI 5 are as follows. We've adapted the transport again. So now we have a transport called Reliable UDP, which enables tools like NDI Bridge. We have redundant discovery servers. Because NDI is automatic discovery, enabling us to look at and control any source on the network, you may want to be more discrete and more granular with your use of NDI. Discovery servers act as lighthouses on the NDI network, so only certain devices can connect to certain receivers. And now we support redundant discovery servers for failover. We can choose which network port on a computer or TriCaster to use for NDI. And now we have ARM support, which means NDI can now run on iPhones and iPads and also Mac devices using the new M1 chipset as well. And then finally, we've also added NDI Genlock, enabling you to send timing back and forth through NDI. We offer much more now through NDI than ever before. And if you want more detail on the rest of these features, please visit ndi.tv, where you can download some free tools to start using NDI on your network today. But also, if you go to the SDK page, you can get white papers on best practices for working with NDI and deeper information about the actual protocol itself for those of you who have more of an engineering mindset. The single biggest change within NDI, though, is the transport and reliable UDP. So let's take a quick top-level look at what that means on your network before we actually go into some practical examples of using NDI 5. So when we launched NDI version 1 in 2015, the network transport was single TCP. In 2016, with version 2.5, we introduced what's called UDP, the forward error correction. In 2020, we introduced multipath TCP with NDI 4. And now with NDI 5, we have reliable UDP, which allows us to take the best features of all of these and enable you to do more on your network. Within NDI 5, all versions of these transports are supported, A, to enable forward and backward compatibility, but also because different networks and different workflows are going to need different network requirements. So you can choose the best type of transport for the job. Of course, our friends at Highway and myself can help you get into further detail on this in the future, as and when you need to. But in most cases, you can leave our system set to auto and they'll choose the best transport for the job. But let's look at what these actually do on the network. So here is an example of single TCP. So this is NDI 1 when we started in 2015. In this example, I'm using an NC2IO, which has 8 channels of SDI in and or out from the network. It's a single appliance. At the other end of my network, I have a TriCaster, which is going to receive and send NDI as well. And I'm just going to use 3 video sources as an example. Both of these systems in the TCP example are connected using 1 gig Ethernet. And this means that each connection under TCP is a single stream between those 2 points on the network. Now, this is really easy to deploy. It's very simple. It will work on every network that's out there, which is why we started with single TCP. The only issue is it's not so good for scaling. It's not so great if you need lots of streams moving between devices, or maybe that NC2IO needs to go to multiple endpoints. You may start running into some network bandwidth issues at some point. The other aspect of TCP is it's not great at distance, which means we can't run it over the internet. We can't run it in the cloud, which is why with NDI 2.5, we introduced single UDP, which basically has a slightly increased use of CPU load on the computer, But in this case, we can actually split and alternate the packets on our streams, which means that we can move A and B. We can alternate the packets between the devices, which means effectively we can have up to 2 gig of bandwidth to move NDI across the network. What's great about UDP is it sends and forgets on the network, which means we can keep pushing data across even over great distance. The hospital example that I showed you is using UDP over 6 kilometers. We have people traversing the UK using this version of NDI. It's great for long distance. What's not so good is that unlike TCP, which is where the receiving device can re-request any data that doesn't make it, UDP can't. But what we do have is forward error correction to tell the device what to do if it doesn't receive the data, which is usually please wait or hold that frame until the next bit of data comes along. In NDI 4, we introduced multipath TCP, which is a lot more complex. But what this does is this actually looks at every available route on the network, which means if you have more network ports on devices, we get more bandwidth and scalability. And we effectively braid these network ports together. It's great on high performance networks. It's very resilient, but again, it's not so good for cloud or wide area network, but it does enable more bandwidth. So now we've moved under NDI 5 to reliable UDP. Apologies, there's a spelling mistake on my slide there, but reliable UDP basically means that we can actually use higher bandwidth network ports like 2.5 gig or 10 gig, and we can now actually alternate the packets and bring them all together to enable a single high bandwidth stream across network points. But also we can re-request data that doesn't make it. So this is perfect for moving across the public internet, wide area network and cloud uses, and it allows us to reorganize the packets in a really efficient way. So it's more efficient than ever, but also allows us to use higher bandwidth connectors now they're available on the market, which is why devices like our NC2IO and the TriCaster 2 Elite and the TC1 have 10 gig network ports on them today. Well, what does this mean for you as a customer? For those of you who aren't so technical, reliable UDP on NDI means faster scalability because we use less network congestion. We can traverse the public internet to connect the world, and we can also retransmit packets of data reliably if any of them are missing on the network. So let's look at how we're exactly going to start connecting different sites now. How are we going to use NDI 5 to connect the world? This is where it starts getting really exciting. I get excited about the network stuff because I'm a bit of a nerd, but this is where it gets really exciting properly. People talk a lot about cloud for remote production, and there's bits and misnomers about what cloud actually is. What is cloud? Well, actually, like this cartoon illustrates, mostly it's servers, mostly it's devices, and those devices can be anywhere we like. Now, this actually means that the term cloud has a bit of an identity crisis. Really, what it is you're connecting to something somewhere else. Now, typically people think that it has to be in a data center. It has to be on something that's quite expensive to power. It's quite expensive to run and deploy. It can be complex, but there's a hell of a lot of benefits to cloud when you want to centralize things in a data center. So actually, often people use it to define a detached service. Now, it's not actually necessarily going up to satellites and back down. We might be using 5G or 4G to access these cloud services, but really what we're doing is we're accessing a virtualized service somewhere else. That could be in the same geography, it can be in the same city or town, or even a data center in the same building. It could be in a completely different geography, like another country somewhere else in the world. Your data, you're effectively just accessing it through the internet at ground level, or maybe through 4G or 5G. And in fact, really what cloud is not just putting things in virtualized data center servers, but it's also distributed services. And with NDI 5, we can start distributing these services with NDI anywhere that we want to bring them and connect them. And the lovely, amazing thing about NDI 5 is that within one single transport, we can connect to virtualized cloud services and data centers. We can connect to local on-premises services and networks that you have, but also connect to other NDI networks and devices anywhere else in the world. And it doesn't have to be full NDI networks. It could just be a camera or a production system. Before I show you how that works with Bridge, one technology that we have in all of our TriCasters now in the current versions is a technology called NDI Remote, which allows you to connect to NDI via your web browser. This is designed to be as easy as possible for anyone to use who maybe finds NDI or video conferencing too complicated to connect to a production, but also those of you who are doing journalism or broadcast may want a quick and fast way of connecting to somebody's mobile phone or tablet in the field. You can send a link from NDI Remote via a QR code out to an individual guest. You then send that to that person, they open the web link on their device in any web browser, and it will connect their camera and microphone to that production. Likewise, a remote participant, maybe there's a breaking news story, could go to remote.ndi.tv and initiate a code that they then send to the studio to connect back in. So if we actually go over to my user interface very quickly, this is my TriCaster 2 Elite interface up here right now. I can go into my rear camera and I'm just going to go into an input, and you'll see on my source list down here that I have a configure remote source box. This is the NDI remote tool, and here I can initiate remote connections, up to 9 of them within it. And if I hit the share button, that then gives me a QR code and a web link that I can then email or display on screen. If I actually scan that using my mobile phone, I can then connect to that and bring that in as a source into my TriCaster for up to 9 individual guests. You might have members of the public that you want to bring into an individual show and actually start bringing them into your live production as well. You know, you don't want to have them set up with video conferencing, but you could say, right, join our radio show, join our live presentation from your laptop, just by sending them an email link that they can click, and then they can become part of that live production. But that's NDI Remote. Very fast, easy way, even over mobile, of connecting people via NDI.tv into your production. But because of reliable UDP and NDI 5, we have something now called NDI Bridge, which is an incredibly powerful free tool that you can download from NDI.tv as part of your live production. So let's take a look at what that really does, and we're going to show you this live as well. Bridge has 3 modes: a local mode, a host mode, and a join mode. In all 3 of these modes, you can actually control what type of NDI is being sent. You can choose NDI high bandwidth or NDI HX with controllable bit rates, or just pass through, and pass out tally, PTZ control, our NDI KVM interface, and even alpha channel and audio. In local mode, this means that Bridge is running on APC. It can see the NDI sources that you allow it to share, and I can then convert that into NDI or NDI HX, or even use this almost like an NDI amplifier or a DA for those of you that are used to using SDI. Under the encoder settings, we can set a data rate from 1.6 megabit up to, I think, 60 megabit using NDI HX, so you can adjust it to the amount of data that you have available. You might have sites that have poor connectivity where you are. You want to lower the data rate right down. Maybe you want to traverse incredibly great distances. You might want to use the lower data rate, but if you're doing shorter distances or you've got a better connection, you can get the best quality possible. This means that you can convert an NDI HX camera into full NDI if you want to use it with a Spark Plus, for example. Or you can take full NDI and convert it into smaller streams of NDI HX that you could then distribute around, say, a classroom. Traditionally, to do mass scales of distribution, people would need to use multicast, which is quite complex in terms of networking. But using Bridge, we can redistribute as NDI HX so everyone in a classroom can see what the tutor's doing with an NDI camera, for example. But the most exciting mode for Bridge is host and join. And this is what we're running now. So with host and join mode, I can create a host on my computer that I'm doing here in London, and that's connected to my NDI network. Somebody somewhere else in the world can use the join mode, and I can generate an encryption key that I send to that person. Now, on one network, I just need to enable port forwarding. It's all explained in the NDI tools, and I'm doing it here on my home network, which means that there's an open port to the world that people can connect to. I then use the copy and paste command to send my IP address, the port number, and an AES-256 encryption key. Now, that is the same type of encryption that banks use to make sure transactions are secure. And I send that to a remote guest. That remote guest can then join the bridge, and then we use RUDP that we mentioned earlier on to link those two sites together across the public internet. Now, the NDI devices at each end, as I say, can be cameras, they can even be TriCasters, and we can actually start linking those together. So let's take a look at that right now. I'm just going to leave my presentation, and I'm just going to bring up NDI Bridge on my laptop. So here now you can see NDI Bridge. This is running here live, and we have 2 connections currently running. Now, I've sent my encryption key to a couple of our friends at Highway who have now joined the connection into the system here. So it says that I've got 2 locations currently connected to me. If I now take NDI Studio Monitor on my laptop, and I'm just going to make this full screen, I can now go into NDI, and I have all my local sources. So here you saw my camera earlier on that I was taking control of. This is the one I've been presenting on in front of the green screen all day. I can look at the camera that's running behind me in the room on the network, which is the running over my shoulder, which is where you can see the setup that I was using earlier on. Now, if I go to my bridge now, you can see here on the bridge that there's some other sources that aren't on my network. I have an Alienware laptop running vMix. I have Bird Dog camera. I have a couple of computers. I have an iPhone. I even have 2 more TriCasters. So if I connect to, say, Fauzia's iPhone on here right now as well, I can bring in an iPhone where Fauzia was presenting earlier on her TriCaster over in Kenya. If I switch down now to another system, which is another TriCaster here, I've got multi-viewer for a TriCaster over in Lagos. So here is Biola's TriCaster. You can see where he was presenting earlier on. Now this is my keyboard and mouse. So if I press these buttons here now, you can see that I can actually call up different compositions in real time on Biola's system over in Lagos. So I can switch on and off the graphics that he had on screen. I'm controlling this system live from here in London over the internet from my laptop via NDI Bridge. If I had an NDI enabled PTZ camera on the network here, like Fauzia's camera, then I can actually go into that system, and I can also then bring in that camera across the network. But here it's just coming in as SDI, but here's Fauzia on the green screen back over in Kenya right now, where she was joining us a moment ago. Now, this is just me looking at sources here on my laptop, but if we go back to my TriCaster right now, let me go to the right one. Whoop, I hit the wrong button. That was very clever of me. Something always goes wrong when you're live. But if we go back to my user interface here now on the TriCaster system, and I'm just going to put that up on screen for you just so you guys can get a better view, you can now see that down the bottom here, I have Fauzia's feed coming in directly into my TriCaster, and Biola's feed is also coming directly into my TriCaster. So if I was to operate those via NDI KVM right now, you'd be able to see that basically Biola's system will actually start switching on the network. So let me go back to Biola's machine very, very quickly just to show you that this is actually real. So I'm now connected to his TriCaster. I'm just going to open up the comp window. And if I press the comp buttons, you can see I'm switching between the different layouts on the mix effects on Biola's system under Bridge 2 down the bottom there, and he's not touching a single button while we do this. This is all done remotely between London, Lagos, and Kenya using NDI Bridge right now. Now, of course, what I can do is we've also got Fazia here on screen with us as well. So let me just switch back my system. Sorry, you can't see this, but let's go over to my TriCaster right now. And I'm going to basically put this back to the full screen mode, and I'm going to switch us back to the virtual studio that we're in just now. So a couple of things that I can do here while I'm in my set here on my virtual set right now is, first off, is I can go into the switcher and I'm going to bring in Biola's set. So he is now joining me live in the same virtual environment using NDI, so we can do a co-production together. Simultaneously, I can also do the same thing where I can also bring Fazia in on her green screen over in Kenya directly into the same system with me too. But maybe I want to do something a little bit different, because as I mentioned earlier on, we have keying and crop controls on our TriCaster systems. So if I go into the bridge connection that's coming from Fazia, I can turn on the keying. I can also turn on a crop to remove a little bit of shadow that's in the image there. And you can see now that I've removed the background from Fazia's live stream. So let's go back to our virtual set just for a minute. And maybe this time what I want to do is, even though I'm in London, I want to have a production with Fazia and Biola working together in the space. So what I'm going to do is I'm just now going to bring Biola back onto the screen that's running behind me. I'm now going to go into my virtual set, and I'm now going to drop Fazia into my spot on the desk. So now, just as you were seeing at the beginning earlier on, I have a full virtual set with all the camera control, with both Fazia and Biola in exactly the same space, in the same virtual environment. And of course, because I am here on my local network as well, I can also put myself into the space. And because of our fantastic mix effect controls that we have on the TriCaster systems, I could actually be here in the corner of the room now as well. So within just a few clicks within the TriCaster, by leveraging NDI5 and NDI Bridge, we can bring 3 different locations around the world together in near real time, efficiently, quickly, at incredible high quality, to do almost any type of video production that you can think of, whether it's standard switching and production or fully functional virtual sets, just like we're using here today. So just before I go, thank you for that, Fazia and Biola. Thank you for joining me on that quick demo there. Very much appreciated. I'm just going to swap myself back in the seat now, just like magic. And I'm also now just going to show you just the last couple of slides, because I just want to revisit those case studies that we looked at the very, very beginning there. So let's just go back to where we were just now, and let's just have a quick look at that and what this means for our little case studies that we said at the start. As you saw, it's not just a peer-to-peer connection with NDI Bridge, it's bi-directional between multiple locations. We currently had 3. I think the maximum limit is 6, but I'm yet to test it. But I've already connected to sites across the sea in America. You saw us just connect to both Lagos and Kenya from London. We can bring all of these together, and it doesn't have to be full TriCasters at each site. It can just be an NDI-enabled camera or an NDI-enabled device, even a webcam at that other remote location. So we just had a quick look at Bridge, but all of our products today are compatible with Bridge and NDI5, and that you can start using these together so you can actually gel out these different systems. And also anything from version 4 and above, including our third-party ecosystem as well. So now let's look back at our case studies and how Bridge is going to apply to them. If we look at connected corporations, those that are already building sites where studios and auditoriums and meeting rooms can work together using NDI, we can connect them all, and you can have headquarters with remote satellite sites so you can deliver next generation broadcast experiences. Courtrooms can now be connected. Municipal courts in smaller towns and geographies and locations can become part of an NDI and being brought into the courtroom. If we look at healthcare, we can connect more hospitals and sites like that healthcare example that we showed earlier on, but also connect universities and educators for training as well, without having to put TriCasters in every hospital. And if we look at live performance in music, we can now start looking at distributing performance, distributing audiences. Wouldn't it be great if you could have a camera, a remote audience in a cinema that can be live streamed back to the performances in the remote venue? We're seeing a lot of live streaming for cinema and theatre in England now, particularly, and across Europe. Wouldn't it be great if they could actually see the people that are at the other end? Can we distribute the performers? Can we distribute the band? These are things that we're going to be exploring early next year as well, as we start adopting Bridge and NDI5 into these exciting workflows. And the exciting part about all of this and more is that once all these different things start talking NDI, once we start linking remote sites, we're able to do so much more with less through distributed production across the internet, across your local network, and much, much more. Now, there will be some announcements in the next couple of weeks, so I'll let Michael communicate those out when we have it. There is some more news coming before we all break for the holiday season. But in the meantime, I'd just like to hand back to Michael and Fauzia and Biola and welcome any questions that you may have here as well today. And again, thank you so much for having me and giving us the chance to explain exactly what we're up to.
Wow. I'm lost for words, Liam. That is just crazy what you can actually do with NDI Bridge. I'm sure a lot of people who are joining us today didn't know that NDI Bridge is a free tool and it can actually do all that you just showed us. That is really, really impressive. We just have a question. I don't know if you can answer this while we continue. There's a question on our YouTube page from someone called Chucks. He's asking, when connecting NDI remote from any part of the world, do we need the receiving TriCaster to be on public IP, or it works on all IP addresses? So I think...
for remote, particularly, you'll need an internet connection. Now, depending on what your network is set up like, is going to affect how remote works. So because we use a WebRTC as a transport with remote, you may need what's called a turn server. Now, if you download the NDI tools from ndi.tv, each tool gives you instructions on the best way of setting it up. And there are full instructions for creating a turn server. Now, you only need a turn server if you're behind a firewall, like a company network, or something that may block WebRTC on the way through. If you're on a home network like I am, you'll just be able to run it, you know, like a standard home public connection. It won't be a problem. But if you're behind a firewall, you may need a turn server. But all of that is detailed step by step in the NDI tools launcher that you can download as part of those free tools.
Wow. Thank you, Liam. I think that is one thing that I really love about NDI5, the fact that you're able to be explained about each and every tool and how to go about it. So anyone who's downloading NDI tools for the first time, they actually know what each tool is capable of doing and how to go about it. I don't know if we have...
You can see it just behind me. Oh, sorry, just say very quickly, you can see it just behind me on the screen here. This is the launcher, which is running for NDI tools. So again, if you go into any of them, we go into Bridge, you hit Learn More, and as Fauzi said, here's the step-by-step instructions for setting them up, how they work and what they do. And then if you have any other questions, of course, you know, you can reach out to the team at Highway or myself, and we can help you go through that. But makes it much, much easier than ever before, as you say, Fauzi.
Yeah, definitely it does. And as we continue with the webinar, I think I also need to remind you guys on the big discounts that we've just been given by Highway. So we have, like for the TriCaster TC1, we have $5,000 off your purchase. We have a discount on the Newtek NDI PTZ Ultra HD camera. We also have we also have discounts on the Bird Dog and IDA cameras. So I think we have another camera. We have another question. Yes. All right, so we have another question, Liam. I think Yasin is just going to bring you back again because I'll tell people more about the promo and the discounts. So someone asks, is it possible for you to talk about Live Call Connect? A little more about Live Call Connect.
Yes, of course I can. It's a little bit tricky to do it when we're in webinar mode, but I will certainly try and show you a little bit more about how it works. So let me just switch over to my user interface once again, and let's just take a quick look at that GUI there. So this is the easiest place to show you. So sorry if there's a lot going on here, people, but you do very quickly get used to using our systems within the different setups, and you can find your way around very easily. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to expand the workspace a little bit more, just so you get a better view of what I've got available. And I'm opening up some more sources here. So as I say, on the Elite, we have 32 live input sources. And you can see that I've got 4 blue boxes running here at the moment. Now, if I switch over to my desktop, sorry, the other multi-view, apologies, on the TriCaster 2 Elite, which is this desktop, this is where I'm currently running Zoom. Sorry if it's echoing, but you get an idea. This is where I'm running Zoom within the TriCaster today. So there's Zoom running on the desktop. Now you can see down here that there's 4 boxes. I've got Chrome, Skype, Teams, and Zoom currently running. This allows me to launch and run those applications directly from the desktop. I'm just going to go to google.com as well, and I'm just going to say today's news like that. Now, Live Call Connect will allow me to use a web browser, but also a video conferencing application as well as part of it. So if I go into any video conferencing application, what I can do is if I press the live button at the top here, I've got a little widget for Zoom. And what I can do is I can press a cog, which is at the top, and it says assign callers to inputs. And I can also then hit a live button on the system at the top there. What that will then do is that will then, over on my user interface, actually then enable Zoom as a source. So you can see on this box down here, I have Zoom coming into the system. If I open up this input cog, under my input list, under local, I can go down and I've got my SDI inputs here, but I've also got Microsoft Teams with up to 9 callers. And I've also got then Zoom here running with up to 9 callers and the full application. So the full application will allow me to capture that whole view of all of you here on today's webinar. The individual inputs are where it will separate out the 9 individual callers so that I can use you all as individual sources. So what might actually work, if you just stop, if somebody could just stop highlighting me a moment, Joel, I might be able to show you this very quickly. Let me see if I can change the view. Oh, there you go. Yeah, if I change to gallery view right now, you can see now over on my user interface, here's the gallery view of the Zoom call. And I'm just going to hit the assign callers to inputs button and hit live. Now, what will happen is I'm just going to then go back to my TriCaster right now over in the user interface. And now down here, I'm just going to go in and select on Zoom. And I'm going to go into input on Zoom, and I'm going to select some of the other inputs. So I'm going to do 5. So here's Michael on his webcam via Zoom. And if I just put Michael on screen, Michael is now extracted from Zoom as an individual source on the system there. So that's Michael brought directly out of Zoom, directly back into my TriCaster production system. And if I just go back to the user interface again as well, we can go up to, say, input number 11. And I could then go into Zoom again and select this time, let's go input number 7. And then now we have Olawale, you're now live. I can bring you now directly on screen, bringing you straight out of Zoom, directly back into the live production system as well. So there's a bit more to it than just extracting the individual callers via Live Call Connect from those different applications. But if I go into our comprehensive audio mix at the bottom, you can see there's an audio fader for the app. So I can increase and decrease the volume of everyone on Zoom. I've got inbuilt audio control, so I can adjust the audio that's coming through and route it. But also I have an integrated talkback as well. So if we just go back to the virtual studio that we were in just now over here where I've got the user interface, it's very now easy for me to go into my main set. And again, just like we did earlier on, I could have Fawzia coming in as our main presenter in the studio there. And now I'm going to drop Michael into our projector behind. And here's Michael from Highway and Fauzia, now both in the same virtual set with me both. And Michael's on Zoom, Fauzia's on Bridge. And again, this time, here's me again on my home studio, looking like a giant because I pressed the wrong button. But you get the idea. Anyway, that's us all brought together in one single space, now using Live Call Connect and Bridge together to generate that same single environment and that same space that we can then use to start bringing these different types of production together as and when you'd like to see fit. So on that note, I think I will hand back to and back to you again, Fauzia, for any more questions that we may have within the space there as well.
Wow, such powerful tools, Liam.
Thank you.
If you're in this Zoom session or if you're watching us from YouTube or Facebook and you've not acquired a TriCaster yet, I don't know what you're waiting for with everything that it can actually do. Yes, we have other questions, Liam. We have a question from FarmerStream. I have the old Newtek Connect Spark. Can it work with NDI 5? Raji from Nigeria.
It should work with Bridge. Let me double check on that and come back to you. If you can just send your email to the team at Highway, let me double check. It should work. I just need to check the latest update on it and try that out. But let me come back and confirm that for you. It should certainly work with Bridge. It won't use NDI 5 itself, but as I said, if we do design this to be forward and backward compatible, so it should be possible.
Yes, FarmerStream, so you'll do that, you'll leave us a mail so that we can communicate to you once Liam has confirmed that. And then we have another one from Frame City Media. Hello, I'm planning to set up a Zoom meeting across different branches. Also, I want to host in one location. Would I need to put TriCaster in all locations, or I can set up Zoom or any conferencing app?
So we have a workflow that we call the green room workflow. So what that means is you have your TriCaster running with Zoom or Live Call Connect like we are today, and that's where you have your main presenters on one call. So your guests that are most important will be on that one call. For your remote audiences, they can then join a different Zoom call that takes the output. So effectively you have a Zoom audience and you have a Zoom backstage. And by combining the two, you can bring them together. In terms of remote guests, with Live Call, you can have up to 9 guests, or you could use remote or Bridge. There's a couple of different ways that you could set that up, but it should be achievable depending on the numbers, just using Live Call Connect and Zoom. And then it's up to you if you want to do that green room workflow or not, because worst case, you might need a laptop running Zoom along with the TriCaster running Zoom to make that possible. That is documented on our system there. So again, everyone at Highway can send you the relevant documentation over for that green room workflow if that's of more interest to you.
Yeah, well, there you have it, Frame City. I hope your question has been answered by Liam. I've seen some questions popping on Zoom. I think Biola can read us those questions that are coming from Zoom, or Michael or Joel. Kindly catch us up with Liam on that.
All right, thank you. There was a question that came in on Zoom that actually came on YouTube, I guess, and it's been addressed. That's about using the old Newtek Spark. And there's another one that came in from Rotimi from Lagos, asking, does Bridge work with third-party programs like vMix? I've answered privately, but I'd rather you answer it live. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. No, I mean, anything that's currently running NDI 4 and above is completely compatible. So yes, you can use all the new NDI tools with other third-party applications. So yeah, in fact, we have lots of customers using things like vMix and others alongside TriCaster. They're all tools that interop, and this is that beautiful thing that you can choose the components and the products that make sense for your workflow to bring them together. But NDI tools is fully compatible with anything that's been running NDI 4 and above for sure.
All right, the next question is from Isaac. Yes, he said, is SMTP supported?
SMT, so SMT 2110 can be brought in and out of NDI. we have some software called Connect Pro, which is a software license. So you can build a PC with a Connect Pro license and a SMPTE 2110 card from any of the supported vendors. So that's AJA, Blackmagic, Matrox, Bluefish, anyone that makes an IP 2110 card. You can put that into that PC, and then you'll be able to convert in and out from NDI into 2110 or 2110 into NDI. Well, we used to have a product to do exactly this, but most customers that use NDI are kind of just, most people would choose either 2110 or NDI, depending on the type of project that they want to do. But as I say, we do have software tools out there that will allow you to do that interoperability that Highway can help you with as well.
All right, thank you, Liam. So another question is, does the old TriCasters, I think we're talking about the old TriCasters, TriCaster Mini, the SDI 460 and 8000, can they work with the KVM?
No, they can't. It's a feature that we've only been able to enable under the Windows 10 platform. So NDI KVM is sadly only running on our current generation systems. It's something that wasn't possible under the older generation platform. Like all of our systems, though, because we're software based, we do improve and build on our TriCasters over time. And when it came to the 8000, those older systems, we really got everything we could out of those hardware platforms at the time. But again, it's saying a conversation you have with Highway about how you can move across to our newer generation systems, perhaps. But yeah, it is a limitation of those older devices, I'm afraid.
Okay. So there's another question that probably will be directing to Michael, and then he'll probably come back to you on that. Someone is asking that, if Fenny is asking that, can we have a TriCaster TC2 Elite for a 30 days testing purpose? I know that's going to, please reach out to your nearest Newtek dealer and then they'll tell you the answer to that one. Thank you. So the next question comes from Ahmed, asking, how many embedded audio channels can the NDI stream carry?
NDI can carry up to 16 channels of audio. Our TriCaster line supports up to 8 per input. So the protocol will do 16, but the TriCaster 2 Elite will do 8. The minis will do 2 or 4, depending on the model. But NDI as a protocol does enable full 16 channels of audio as linear PCM. And one of the other free tools that's been announced of NDI 5 tools is Audio Direct, which means you can now de-embed NDI audio into any digital audio workstation on the PC platform that uses Steenberg or VSX plugins. So now we can also start doing more with the audio side of NDI as well as part of this new update. But 16 channels is the maximum for the protocol.
Okay, one more to go, Liam. This is from Emmanuel Ayodele from Lagos. He's asking that when using Zoom with a TC2, where is the Zoom call hosted?
So the Zoom call hosted is actually here on the live call GUI. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this right now. If I just turn off the live mode, let me just minimize that a second. So hopefully you can see I've got my desktop running here right now. So let me just put this full screen so you guys can see. So this is actually one of the multi-viewers for the TriCaster. So this is a dedicated desktop view on the system. And that is where the Zoom call is actually running on the 2 Elite. So Zoom, Discord, Slack, and Teams can all run here in the user interface on the TriCaster. So you just have a second display. So one keyboard and mouse to make the whole thing happen. You don't need any external computers or additional devices to make any of that possible. And that's all fully accessible and fully available across the system there.
Okay, I guess that's what I have for now on Zoom. I'll hand it over back to you, Liam.
Fantastic. Cool.
Fawzia, please, over to you.
Yes, I think I had two questions, but they've also been read by Biola. I think they were also posted on Zoom from Solomon and from Ahmed, and Liam has already answered them. Guys, this is not just the end of our webinar, no. If you have further questions, you can always contact us directly, or as well, you can just leave your questions on the YouTube page and Facebook page, because we'll have this video still playing while the session is over, and we can always get back to you. If it's anything that Liam actually needs to answer, we'll get in touch with him and we'll give you the right and appropriate answer. I just want to mention a few things that Liam mentioned during his presentation that I got moved with. First of all is the projects. Yasin, if I can have Liam back. Yes, Liam, it's really nice to see that people are already adopting the large-scale productions with NDI, like the courtroom in UK, the music competition, what they did back there with the TriCaster and NDI. The pandemic has just made us realize our potential, I guess. And
yes.
Yeah, I really liked those two projects. As well, it's very, very good what the NDI KVM, the NDI Bridge. Right now we have the ARM support, whereby we have our phones becoming sources for our systems. We don't need to have the massive cameras that we had back then. There are sometimes you have these productions whereby you can't reach with these big cameras. So if you have a phone with a good quality camera and you just have the NDI application in it, you're good to go with your production. And that is really, really impressive. And thumbs up to you, Newtek and VizRT. Yes, I don't know if there are any more questions, but I think this was a very great webinar. You have a question?
Fauzia, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry to jump in. I have a question here. Emmanuel from Lagos is asking that during Zoom production on the TC2, is it possible to exempt the Zoom logo? You know, like in Skype, the Skype logo has to be there. Can you take away the Zoom logo during the production?
It does automatically, actually. So when I separate people out via Zoom, like we were earlier, there is no Zoom logo within it, because we're taking out from the grid. So when you do that, it does remove it. It's not on every single one. So the tool, when you hit the live button, it actually locks the mouse out, so you can't accidentally put names up or anything. But also, as you may recall, every input has crop and zoom control. So on the Elite, you can actually pan and scan on every input. So you can actually reframe it so the logo's not on or anything like that. You may need to mention, though, that there's terms of service for these sort of platforms. So you should read the small print for your region and see what it says, because it may say you have to have a logo somewhere, or the presenter has to say it's using Zoom. But yeah, that's all available on there. But you can certainly reframe and recrop all the shots with Live Call Connect.
All right, Liam. Another question is here now. It's from Isaac, and the question is, with the TriCaster having, did I lose this? Okay, yeah. With TriCaster having 1 GB network interface, is there any plan to support the high-speed LAN or 1 10 gig and over? Especially when doing multipurpose production and file recording.
Yeah, I mean at present our TriCaster TC1, 2 Elite, NC2IO module, and our FreePlay 3P2 systems all support 10 gig because they have enough sources and inputs and outputs to warrant that. We do design our systems to have the right networking for the system and what that product does. Yeah, our higher end systems are all 10 gig natively. Part of the reason we haven't done it before is the cost of 10 gig networking. Until very recently, it was a very expensive technology, but now that price is coming down. We're seeing more and more motherboards and laptops using 2.5G and 5G, 10G, and even higher now. And that's part of the reason that we have this reliable UDP mode in NDI 5 now, to allow you to take advantage of that, because we're about making things as accessible for everyone as possible, and our technology matches that. So you'll certainly see more of that coming from us down the line there.
Okay, Liam, it's good to have you. Thank you so much. I don't have any more questions hanging here.
No problem.
One more.
Thanks, Biala.
Back to you, Fauzia.
I think we'll keep Liam here longer, or we'll have to call Liam back again because there's too much. He's on demand right now, I guess. So, Liam, we have another question. Can the old TriCasters run KVM?
They can't, unfortunately, no. It's a limitation of the older Windows 7 platform. It's only our Windows 10 based systems that can presently support that. So I'd recommend, if you have one of our older systems, do have a chat with Highway and the team about what options you have to move forward with that. But yeah, that is a limitation there. If you want normal KVM, the only KVM for extension we do recommend is Adalink Infinity. They're one that will work with those older systems, no problem. But yeah, that is a limitation, sadly.
Well, I guess someone just asked when is the next webinar. Liam, I told you you're on demand, and I think we should have more of this lined up soon. So guys, we'll definitely call Liam back again. I don't know when, but Liam will tell us because he has a very tight schedule.
Yeah, and yeah, definitely. And we have some more news coming in the next few weeks. So, we'll certainly come back. And it's been an absolute pleasure working with you all, presenting to you all today. And it'd be my pleasure to come back again. And, we can look at some other aspects of what we're doing next.
We will definitely be glad to have you back again, Liam. And it has been such a great and productive webinar. I personally have learned a lot on this webinar from Liam, and I am looking forward to exploring more of the NDI Bridge, Live Call Connect, and everything else that NDI 5 tools has brought us. So I think that's it from the questions that we had. And I think at this point, Liam, NDI has come a long way from 2015. That is what you mentioned. It's been a journey. And we love how far you guys have come. And we are looking forward to having much more from your end on NDI tools, because it's readily available to everyone and anyone, so you don't need to have money to buy them. They're free tools that you can practice with. Starting today from this webinar, just go to ndi.tv, and if you're using a Mac or you're using a Windows PC, they all have versions to support those. So there are features you'll find that are on Windows that are not on Mac, but again, Windows PC are mostly owned by most people, so you can test these tools. You experience any challenges, you can contact us and we'll be able to assist you. And as well, you can go back, watch this video after the webinar and see how Liam was working magic with the NDI Bridge and the Live Call Connect. Yes, Liam, I think you can tell us your last words. I hope you had a good time with us.
It's been absolutely wonderful as always, and it's always a pleasure working with Highway. So again, thank you so much for joining us today. To everyone at Highway, thank you for putting on such an amazing show, and really look forward to hearing from you soon and seeing what kind of projects you can all come up with and what you do next with the tools that we have at our disposal now.
Thank you, Liam. So guys, what you do next with this information is entirely up to you, but we are hoping that you acquire a TriCaster as soon as possible. If you don't have the money to purchase a TriCaster right now, we have massive discounts that are just going on right now that came with this webinar. So we have up to $5,000. $5,000 is a lot of money off TriCaster TV. If you want to do a trade-in, you have an older TriCaster unit, we also have massive discounts with those. We have a discount with the Bad Dog. Which product was that? Okay, okay, come again, Mr. Viola.
Kiloview.
Also the Bad Dog, we had the discount on Bad Dog and as well as IDA. So we will play that video again with the promos and discounts at the end of this webinar. So make sure that if you want to place an order right now, you just contact us. If you're in Nigeria or Lagos or Ghana, anywhere close to Nigeria, you have Mr. Biola who will leave his details, including the email address, so that you're able to contact our Nigerian office directly. If you are in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, East Africa, or anywhere near East Africa, you can contact us directly on Highway Kenya at highwayavs.com. We'll have those details posted on our YouTube page and our Facebook page as well. And if you're in Zoom, you can give us, you can leave a mail for us so that we can give you feedback for any questions that you have. Mr. Bill, I think I'll give you time to tell people where to find you if they have questions and they are near Nigeria.
Okay, thank you, Fauzia. And I'll first say thank you to everybody that has come to join us. In fact, I looked at the numbers and it's extremely impressive. We have over 150 people registered for this, and more than half of us have attended this webinar. It's really, really a great number. I'm impressed, and I say thank you to everybody for coming around. And if you want to see us, we are in Lagos, in number 1 Ondo Close, Bamishele Estate, off Island Avenue in Ikeja, Lagos. You can check us out on www.highwayavs.com. And you have our numbers also, our YouTube and Facebook handles are there. We'll reach out to you and we'll also send you emails after this so that you can be a part of what we're doing. You have any questions, you have a trading to be, you want to take part in the promo, rush at it because I'm very sure we have very limited stock to go with on this. Thank you very much for coming around, and once a big thank you to Liam as well for coming. It's a great pleasure to have you always, and we look forward to having you pretty soon again. Back to you, Fauzia. It's muted.
Sorry guys, I muted myself and I just forgot. So yes, thank you so much, Mr. Biola. And again, guys, you know now where to find our Nigerian office. You know how to contact them as well. If you're in Kenya, you want to make any purchases on NDI products, including Bad Dog, Ada, KiloView, guys, you can visit our website. That is www.highwayav.co.ke. You can leave your comments on our social media pages, that is on Facebook and YouTube right now. As well, you can just walk into our offices. We are based in Nairobi, South B, at Trans Towers. When you just get to Trans Towers, ask for Highway Audiovisual and you'll be directed to our offices, and we'll be glad to have you. So if you have any other questions, guys, I think I didn't even realize that we have gone up to 30 minutes more. But again, that is good because the webinar was very informative. Thank you so much, Liam, for your time today. And we're looking forward to having you pretty soon again, and with much more information for us concerning NDI and Newtek, because this is the future and we're actually living it. People are already using it in their daily activities. If you've not started it, this is the time to start using NDI. If you want to download NDI tools, go to ndi.tv and we have tools there to be downloaded. They're just free. You don't need to pay anything. You want to get the application. The TriCaster camera on iOS is free as well. If you have a TriCaster, you can start utilizing that. And if you want to acquire any NDI compatible products, including Bad Dog, Ada, KiloView, we have massive discounts that the video is just going to play in a few. And it was I was glad hosting you today. My name is Fauzia and I'm looking forward to more sessions like this. So if you have not subscribed to our social media pages in Nigeria, in Kenya, and in the UK, make sure you do that, and also click on the notification so that if we have any upcoming webinars, you'll be notified and you won't miss out on anything. Yes, guys, I think I'll just say it's been great. And thank you so much for your time with us today. Bye, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.